So we'll start moving her into place a little bit here. So I've got her lined up, and the first thing I notice is her dress down here needs to be pulled up a little bit. I'm going to go into transparency mode and Alt-tap her dress to select that subtool. And I'm just going to use, now if you don't want your cursor flopping around, just go over here to Preferences, Edit, Align Cursor to Surface. And another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Shift-Z, and I'm just going to put a line right down the middle of all these subtools. I'm just Alt-tapping, just so I know where that midline is. It's not very pretty, but it's just kind of a way to orient myself. And then, of course, I can hit Custom 2, and you're going to see because I didn't have a midline, my Custom 2 is actually way off. So I'm going to go ahead and put her midline where it's supposed to be, which is about here-ish. Cool. And now I'm going to go over here to Custom. I'm going to do Clear All. Clear all, and then hit Custom 2, and now this is a little bit more centered. So now I can hit, make my brush size pretty big, and then go into my Move Brush. I'm just going to pull up. I'm going to Alt-tap this dress and just pull it up, and I kind of want to scale it down and then flare it out. And for right now, I'm just going to use up my Move Brush. I'm just going to kind of pull in here and then kind of pull out at her bottom a little bit here. And I'm going to clean all of this up just like we did in the fin model. But these are just the rough movements here. So I'm going to Alt-tap her chest here and hit W and just tap right in the middle. And now I'm going to hit E, hold down Shift, and just pull this one back here. I'm going to scale that down quite a bit. Hit W again, just move that up. And it's going to do some really weird stuff. But again, I'm just getting this blocked in. And then go in with my Move Brush and do a little bit of fine tuning here. I'll pull her shoulders up here, like so. And if you want to, you can turn perspective on. It doesn't change it that much. Just while we're getting her blocked in. Okay, this will match. Now, because I am going to be 3D printing this thing, I don't want really thin stuff hanging off of her, so I'm actually just going to probably just pop this off later and just give it a little bit of thickness, just FYI. So we'll select her head here, hit W, and we'll move her head up just a tiny bit. Her neck is a little bit thick, so I'm going to go over here to Deformation, and I'm just going to go to Inflate. And I'm just going to pull this back until it kind of matches her neck here. Perfect. Okay, so we're not going to do her arms quite yet. And the hair we're going to put in later depending on what kind of style I want to do. Again, I'm not going to match this necessarily. And the clothes I'm going to have to figure out how to do as we kind of go. So we've got her kind of blocked out. I'm going to hit Shift-Z, and that'll give you all of her pieces here. We're going to hit Transparency. And now what you want to do is go into the round. I'm going to turn perspective off again. And just kind of make sure she's all lined up. So when I brought this to kind of taper from the side, I need to go to this side here and hit W, pull out the line to make it straight, and then just hold down Shift with Move and Alt-tap her dress here. It looks like, no, we don't. Let me see. Alt-tap. There we go. Hit W, and then just kind of move this in. And I do like how her torso is tilted back a little bit. That just kind of gets her to sit a little bit better, but I'm going to rotate it just a bit. So I'm going to take a anchor point here, pull that out, and then just kind of rotate that up a bit. Her neck, I'm going to Alt-tap, and I'm going to move this more to the top of her body, and then her head, finally Alt-tap, and then just kind of move her head forward. So, and now you can go back in here with your Move Brush and just kind of move the stuff around as you need to, and rotate, just to kind of get it to sit a little bit better. And if you want to check your work, let's go ahead and Alt-tap this, bring this down. You can always hit Shift-Z to bring your picture back, hit Custom 2 button again, and make sure that nothing really went off the rails. And I think she's still fine. But you can still go in here and Alt-tap any subtool. And by Alt-tap, I just mean selecting the subtool. You can go over here and select individually. This is a fairly simple file, so you can go in here and rename these and select them as you want. But all right, now her arms are going to be a little bit different than Finn's. Finn's were just a simple tube. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So if I hit Shift-Z to bring her back, hit Custom 2, her arms are just kind of a tapered cylinder with a slight bend in there. A lot of different ways to do that, but I think what I'll do is just stick with the tapered cylinder idea. So I'm going to go to B, I, and we'll just use the Insert Cylinder brush, and we're just going to insert that right on her body here. I'm going to do a split unmask points. Alt-tap her arms to kind of select them, hit R to go into rotate mode, and now I can just tap anywhere on one of these cylinders and just kind of rotate them down. Now you don't want to cross over, because if you cross over and then try to move them apart, they're going to be sticky, so don't do that. So kind of keep them separated from the middle, and now I'm going to kind of hit E to scale it down. They're going to scale to the world center. If you don't like that, you want to scale them locally, just turn on LSIM button over there, and you can just scale them right on their local center. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to match this back arm here because this front arm is kind of going up. I'm just going to make her like fins where her arms are kind of going down. So I'm going to hit R and I'm going to rotate these down and just kind of put them into space here. And now I'm going to go into solo mode and then hit W and tap the top part, just finding that normal going straight down the object. And then I'll hit Custom 2 again. And now I'm going to hit W, hold down Shift, and just pull this top one out. So if you're doing a non-uniform scale, this is how I would tend to do it. Go into polyframe mode here, and you're going to see I have a bunch of extraneous lines. I really want to just have a gradual thick to thin. And the easiest way to get rid of those lines is just to go over here to your Geometry Edge Loop menu and just do Delete Loops, and anything that's below that angle threshold will get deleted. You're going to see those weren't really changing the shape or silhouette of it, so it deleted them for me. Hold down Control. I'm just going to mask this end piece here. Control Tap to invert that. I'm going to rotate around, hit E, and then just tap the center point here. And then if I go back to Custom 2, and I got LSIM turned on. If I have that off and I'm scaling, it's going to want to scale these things into the world center. Just turn LSIM on and it'll scale it right on the middle of that point. I'm going to hold down Shift and just kind of bring this in. You could also inflate if you wanted to, since it is just the bottom masked out. So a lot of different ways to do this stuff. And it's going to pull this in. Now the gradual kind of bend in her arm isn't going to be able to happen right now because I don't have any geometry there. But let's go ahead and position these arms first. So I'm going to hit Shift-Z to get rid of that. So we know they're in their general place. I'm going to go out of solo mode. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm going to rotate these arms around a little bit, kind of put them in the position a little bit better. All right. So now that we have these into place with that gradual taper, I'm going to hover over an edge in here, hit my, or go into my Zmodeler Brush. BZM is your Zmodeler Brush. You can assign a hotkey to that if you want. Hover over an edge. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because these edges are kind of close together. Hit a space bar after you get an edge, and then we're going to do Insert Multiple Edge Loops. And I'm just going to grab an edge and click and drag, and that'll just insert multiple edge loops. If you keep dragging, it'll make a lot. If you don't drag as much, it'll just make a few. I'm just going to make a few general ones here. And I'm also going to hit Control W to go ahead and just polygroup these as one individual polygroup. Now, Control W is under polygroups, group mask clear mask right here. If you have something masked and you hit Control W, it'll make a polygroup for it. If you have nothing masked and you hit Control W, it'll just group whatever's visible. So now that I have that, I'm going to go hit my Custom 2 button, hit Shift Z to bring my spotlight back, and now I can just kind of move these things gradually into place here. There we go. So we can kind of get that soft transition from her upper arm to her lower arm here. Alt tap her chest here to kind of bring this in a little bit more. I'll tap her lower body here, kind of pull this out a little bit more, and I think we're in good shape. So we got our basic body style down. Now at this point, it's a matter of just making this into a Dynamesh, and then just like in Finn, we're going to kind of mask off and split up where her costume is, extract those, or use Zmodeler or Z-Remesher to start building her body and her costume.